I jolted awake, glanced at the charts, and nearly spilled my coffee when I saw XRP lighting up like a Christmas tree at over $2.50. Now that little green candle wasn't just a spark, it was a flare screaming something big is brewing. But let's back up for a second. Before dawn cracked, I'd planned to spend the morning kind of tinkering with my garden variety spreadsheets, right? Instead, I found myself speed dialing every crypto buddy that I have because XRP smashing a 7-week high isn't your usual kind of Tuesday headline, especially when whales are circling like it's an all-you-can-eat sushi bar. Now, I'm recording this a little ahead of time, so here's what actually happened, but you probably know a little bit more than I do. While most people were, of course, doom-scrolling, a fresh Santiment report popped up showing 2,742 wallets, each stuffed with at least 1 million XRP. Now, command a draw-dropping $47 billion coins combined. Now that's almost half the circulating supply lounging around in a handful of mega-sized wallets. So I kind of pictured them as kind of the secretive treasure chests dotted across the blockchain map. Indiana Jones would of course be jealous. Now, why should you or I care if a pod of crypto kind of leviathans, suddenly kind of doubled down on their own favorite digital kind of clam chowder? Well, it's because whale behavior is the crypto equivalent of insider body language. So when they kind of lumber towards the buffet, you'd better believe that the platter's still hot. And get this. One day earlier, the whale count hit an all-time high, 2,743 wallets. Now we're literally one wallet shy of breaking another record. Talk about suspense. Now here's the catch. Everyone's whispering about not one, not two, but a whole parade of XRP ETFs lined up like planes on a foggy runway. July 14th, which has passed, is first in queue, right? That was ProShares, who wants to kind of fling 3 futures ETFs, Ultra XRP, Ultra Short XRP, and Short XRP onto the market, basically offering investors leveraged jetpacks or parachutes depending on the direction. Now, a week later, Turtle Capital kind of saunters up with a 2x long XRP daily target ETF on July 21st. Need more drama? Well, Volatility Shares is itching to drop 2 additional futures ETFs the very same day, and REX-Osprey aims to sail its own offering on July 25th. Then add over 10 spot ETF applications cooking in the SEC's kitchen with an October deadline. We've got a triple-decker of tension sandwich. I'll be honest with you, right? ETFs are the big leagues. Now, they let traditional investors dip their toes into crypto without touching a cold wallet or memorizing seed phrases that sound like refrigerator poetry. So, when regulators finally crack the door open, heavyweight money can flood in faster than a busted fire hydrant. That's exactly what the whales are betting on. Meanwhile, the Ripple versus SEC Courtroom soap opera still runs hotter than a Netflix binge. Now, a full kind of dismissal of the SEC's case would be the kind of confetti cannon moment that traders have been waiting for since, well, forever. And if that gavel drops in Ripple's favor around the same time ETFs go live, imagine lighting 2 sticks of dynamite and hoping that they don't meet. Kaboom is an understatement. But let me kind of pump the brakes here and confess a personal dilemma. Back in May, when XRP kind of last kissed kind of $2.40, I hesitated. Now, I'd spent the week kind of obsessing over macro headwinds, rate hikes, energy prices, the neighbor's howling dog, you name it. By the time that I convinced myself to add a little more XRP, the price retraced faster than my interest in kind of fad diets. The lesson kind of burned, right? Overthinking can be costlier than gas fees in a bull run. And that is why when I saw whales kind of topping up yesterday, my spidey sense kind of tingled. Yet there's always that kind of nagging voice whispering, what if it's a trap? So look, right, nobody enjoys buying the top, right? And charting unknown territory can also feel like diving at night with the headlights off, or I said driving at night with the headlights off. So how do we reconcile FOMO with the caution then? And the simple answer is that you don't, right? At least not perfectly, right? But what you can do is arm yourself with some context. And that's kind of where the upcoming ETF timetable offers a bit of an anchor. So let's picture the July 14th as kind of a fork in the road then, right? And if ProShares kind of gets the blessing, leveraged funds could amplify daily moves. So think roller coaster loops for grown-up portfolios. Now, historically, future-based ETFs create buzz, but also introduce volatility because leverage is like espresso shots for price swings. Now, short ETFs let institutions hedge, long lets them kind of speculate. Now, retail people will get to hop on either of the trains. Now, the market suddenly becomes a bit of a chessboard with turbo pieces then. Then, July 21st kind of brings Turtle Capital and Volatility kind of shares into the party. Now, if the SEC greenlights multiple issuers in rapid succession, well, liquidity deepens and spreads will tighten. And that is Wall Street kind of code for big boys feel safe enough to play with bigger stacks. Now, all is kind of peachy until someone over-leverages, of course, so expect some fireworks either way. And let's not overlook REX-Osprey's July 25 pitch. Now, these guys are known for nimble niche products. Should they score approval right after the earlier kind of batch, the narrative shifts from is XRP ETF possible to how many flavors of XRP ETF do you want? Now that pivot alone could actually flip sentiment faster than a pancake at brunch. Now mid my monologue kind of pause right here while I kind of tick every compliance box and keep the YouTube overlords happy. And this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video today is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments, of course, are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Now, neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, that's the legal eagles fed, let's fly. So, where do regular folks, meaning you, me, and Aunt Linda, who only kind of recently learned that Bitcoin isn't an Xbox game, fit in, right? You enter the problem challenge phase, right? Navigating hype versus reality, right? Everyone loves a good moon mission, but nobody enjoys terminal velocity back to Earth. Now, the solutions start with community, and that's why we host a free educational Discord server. The link's nested in the description. It's kind of where we kind of dissect the whale wallets, the ETF filings, and the court docs without needing a law degree. You can hop in, you can lurk, you can ask dumb questions. There are none, by the way, and of course, leave a little bit smarter. Now, on to stats, because story time is better with numbers, at least in my opinion. Now, XRP's 24-hour volume, it spiked over 30% at the point of recording, and kind of price crossed that $2.40 level. So open interest on major derivatives exchanges climbed too, hinting at least at traders expect movement rather than a kind of sleepy sideways drift. Meanwhile, of course, wallet 7KF, the one that I've tracked since 2022, yeah, the mysterious address that bought every single dip like a vacuum, added another 2 million XRP right before the latest bump. Coincidence? Maybe, but whales rarely toss darts with blindfolds. And here's another fun tidbit then. Google searches for XRP ETF had quadrupled in the last 2 weeks. That's Aunt Linda plus, every kind of water cooler conversation at hedge funds scrambling for primers. Now, you can almost hear keyboards kind of clacking across Manhattan, but the plot thickens as the kind of July 14th door, right? Let's kind of visualize two scenarios. Scenario A, the SEC says approved, instant headline frenzy, CNBC anchors grin, and liquidity gushes in like soda from a shaken can. Price could potentially rip northward, yet leverage longs and shorts will kind of duke it out, carving deep intraday wicks. Brace for the drama. Scenario B, the SEC punts or denies. Traders kind of sigh, whales maybe kind of nibble a bit more, and price kind of wobbles but doesn't necessarily crash because everyone still has eyes on October for the spot ETF verdicts. Remember, futures products are kind of the appetizers. The spot ETFs are the main course. Institutional desks, they crave spot because it eliminates tracking errors and is simpler to explain to the risk committees. Which of course brings us to the narrative climax then. Ripple's legal battle, right? Imagine the judge slamming down the gavel and asserting that Ripple, or I should say XRP, is indeed not a security. Kind of what happened back in 2023. Combine that, of course, with the firework display with ETF approvals, and suddenly we're staring at a brand new market structure. Payment corridors could widen, liquidity solutions gain traction, and those 47 billion XRP whale wallets hold, become the kind of stuff of legends. Now, it's kind of like witnessing the finale of a trilogy where all the subplots kind of converge together. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't share a personal anecdote from 2018, when I first dipped toes into XRP at a humble 32 cents. Now, back then, the idea of an XRP ETF kind of felt far-fetched as putting, maybe pineapple on a pizza and calling it gourmet. We've all been there. Yet, here we are, 7 years later, staring at a potential ETF buffet. Now, the moral of the story is that crypto years are dog years on steroids. Innovations age sevenfold overnight. So let's sprinkle in a quick reminder then. If you trade actively and need pro-level order books without feeling like you're kind of piloting a spaceship, then check out Kraken Pro's interface, which has been my trusty cockpit. Full disclosure, of course, the link in the description is an affiliate link that supports the channel. Keeps my coffee pot kind of, full and costs you absolutely nothing extra. So if you want to explore tight spreads and advanced charting, you should probably check it out. Use it, don't use it, I don't mind either way, but it's always good to have access to as many exchanges as possible. All right, let's zoom out for a perspective here. Market cap at $143 billion means XRP sits pretty comfortably in the fourth largest crypto. Yet, Bitcoin's kind of store of value narrative and Ethereum's smart contract throne still hogs mainstream spotlight. XRP's value proposition is speed and settlement finality in cross-border payments, a trillion-dollar playground. Institutional doors have been kind of half open for years. ETFs might actually swing them nice and wide. But here's another metaphor. Think of XRP as a high-speed rail network built in advance. For years, trains ran kind of half empty because travelers didn't trust the timetable. ETF approvals are the kind of glossy ads telling, or at least finally telling commuters that, hey, this thing actually works, seats reclining and all. And once our kind of readership kind of surges, early investors effectively owned slices of that track. Suddenly, that kind of dormant asset hums with activity. But don't forget the risk. Regulatory hiccups could reroute trains. High leverage could derail speculators, and macro shocks, say a surprise Fed hike or unexpected geopolitical flap, right? It could and can, of course, suck liquidity out of every single market, including crypto. Your seatbelt is position sizing and that kind of sweet, boring strategy called dollar cost averaging. And by the way, the community kind of sloths in our kind of Discord, they found that during previous whale accumulation waves, 2017, 2021, price rallies kind of followed within 30 to 60 days, roughly 78% of the time. Correlation? Not prophecy, but still goosebump worthy. Now, it's kind of like hearing thunder and deciding whether to grab an umbrella or to dance in the rain. Now, zooming back to our near-term timelines, remember Turtle Capital's 2x long ETF aims to mirror but double daily moves. If XRP swings 5%, holders swing 10, right? Sounds thrilling, right? But leverage is a double-edged katana. The same math applies to losses. So if you're kind of craving leverage, treat it like hot sauce. Start with a drop, not the whole bottle. Now, let me address a common myth that whales always kind of know best. They do have deeper pockets and maybe fancier research, but they're not infallible. Sometimes they're forced sellers or buyers due to fund mandates, right? Your edge is, as a retail investor, agility, right? You can pivot before the aircraft carrier can turn. So read the on-chain tea leaves, yes, but marry them to your own conviction and your own timeline. And another challenge is emotional stamina. Now, in bull runs, Twitter feeds morph into echo chambers. Every thread screams, "We're gonna make it." Then comes a 20% dip and suddenly everyone's a doomsayer. Now, your brain is going to throw confetti 1 hour and panic the next, right? Now, managing that chemical kind of seesaw is half of the battle. Now, for me, I kind of scribble game plans on paper, entries, exits, invalidation levels, and having rules kind of saves future me from impulsive future me. And here's a quick tip. I set my phone reminders titled "Stop staring at candles, go touch grass." It sounds silly until a 4K resolution sunset reminds you that markets will still be there tomorrow. Healthy detachment equals better decisions. So, what do we do and what do we watch next, right? The July 14th, decision has come and gone. So keep an eye on the SEC filings. They are public after all. The July 21st for, Turtle and Volatility shares, and July 25th for REX-Osprey. And layer on the kind of Ripple lawsuit hearings as well. Court calendars can shift, but updates kind of leak faster than a sieve on legal news sites. And of course, October is the looming boss level for spot ETFs. If approvals snowball, liquidity ramps up, and barrier to entry for traditional funds evaporates. So imagine pension funds sipping their morning espresso and allocating 1% to a spot XRP ETF because policy now allows it. Those numbers dwarf retail volume, even if only a trickle comes in at first, right? It kind of sustains price floors in ways that we haven't truly witnessed outside of Bitcoin. But here's a plot twist. If the SEC delays or denies everything, the short-term turbulence, yes, but, whales won't kind of be feasting if they kind of thought that the long-term game was doomed. So tech adoption still matters. RippleNet's expansion, central bank experiments with the XRPL sidechains, and enterprise-grade tokenization pilots could push utility demand without, at least even without ETFs, right? And regulation is one pillar, fundamentals are another. Now, at this point in my journey, I treat catalysts like kind of stacked dominoes. Whale accumulation sets the baseline, ETF decisions tip the kind of first tile, legal clarity knocks the next, and suddenly momentum cascades. You can't predict wind speed, but you can sail when the breeze kind of picks up. And all right, let's kind of tie this adventure back to you guys, right? Step 1, gather intel that kind of cuts through the noise. Use on-chain data, reputable news, and shameless kind of plug our free Discord Learning Hub. Step 2, craft a strategy that respects your risk tolerance, whether that's kind of vanilla spot positions or spicy leverage plays. And step 3, execute with discipline and the humility to accept being wrong quickly. Right? Trading is less chess grandmaster and more humble pizza chef. Follow the recipe or burn the crust. Now, before we kind of wrap up, here's a quick mental exercise. Close your eyes and picture XRP's chart in a year from now, right? Strip away the speculation, imagine actual utility, faster remittances, bank settlements, tokenized real-world assets. Price is just the scoreboard of the adoption. So if you believe that the user base will 10x, then demand should follow. If not, allocate accordingly, right? Clarity begins where the hype ends. So, in summary, whales are stacking 47 billion XRP, and it is not random, right? They smell opportunity tied to July's ETF gauntlet and Ripple's legal showdown. Now, neither guaranteed, of course, a moonshot, but together they kind of reshape odds enough to make even cautious traders perk up just a little bit. Now, your mission is, of course, to stay informed, to stay nimble, and to keep both feet on the ground while your head scans the stars. And if you found that this breakdown kind of saved you hours of scrolling and gave you a clearer roadmap, tap that subscribe button so that the algorithm knows that we're onto something good. And I'll catch you all in the next deep dive.